going on, guys? It's the Beard, back with another beer review. Today we're going to do DogFish Head superEIGHT Super Gose. What makes it super? What makes it superEIGHT? Where did they get that name from? Well, apparently Sam Caglione and some employees learned over a podcast. I don't think it listed on the website, but they learned that if a beer's pH is low enough, it develops a superEIGHT film. Whatever that means, I don't know. But for you beer nerds out there that probably do know, that's for you. Enjoy that information tidbit. They also call it superEIGHT because they brewed it with 8 heroic fruits. Now let me rattle these off for you, straddle in. They brewed it with prickly pear, mango, boysenberry, blackberry, raspberry, elderberry, kiwi juices, toasted quinoa. So there's the 8 heroic ingredients, and then they also threw in Hawaiian sea salt to make it a Gose, because you got to have your sea salt to make it a Gose, obviously. And then apparently the Hawaiian sea salt gives it a reddish appearance. Could have fooled me. I would have thought the raspberry or all the other berries would have given it that appearance, but apparently Hawaiian sea salt is what gives it its appearance. There's a small little video package they have on their website as well about this beer, where Sam talks about how they initially thought of the question: if you were stranded on an island, what ingredient would you take with you and what beer would you take with you? And that question kind of inspired a beer, and sorry if I don't remember the beer, but then that beer sort of led to this creation, their more mass produced version of whatever that initial beer was. So let's just get in. You can go to dogfishhead.com if you want to learn any more. I don't want to sit here and just talk about the beer. Let's smell and taste the beer. Isn't that what we're here for anyways? Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm not even going to say. I was going to tell you where DogFish Head is from, but I can't remember at this exact second, and I don't want to be wrong. They did recently merge with Sam Adams, though. I think that still, it's just a merger. Like, Sam Adams didn't buy him out. So I didn't aggressively pour that at all. So there's no head. Goses are basically sour Gose. Same thing to me anyways. Although the difference is the sea salt, in my opinion. They both have a tartness to it. So there's not a lot of head in that style of beer anyways. So yeah. There's your superEIGHT film. I would assume they're talking about the head when they're talking about a superEIGHT film. It's definitely holding up. It's not, it's dissipating, but it's slow for a film. It definitely has a reddish, it's more like a, it's a unique color. It's pretty copper here in person. See if I can get a good look at it. Okay, there's definitely, it looks like remnants of fruit in there. It's not at the bottom. It's not like a bottom settling sediment. It's really, really unfiltered. It looks like there's pulp just, I don't even want to say floating around. It's just like, it almost makes it look like it's a jellied, a very liquefied jellied appearance. Like the pulp is just kind of lost in suspension in the beer. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. I'll quit being stupid. So yeah, you get like a copper, reddish, orangish color, very unfiltered. You got, of course, when you put it up to the light, it's just the slightest bit of clarity. I can barely see the windows over here through the beer. No highlights, pretty consistent color, dissipating head. I bet it leaves legs. It does not leave legs. It puts them up there, but they're coming off pretty quick. Obviously, I'm getting fruit, but I can't pick out the 8 different kinds of fruit. I feel like my hands are interfering. I washed my hands just recently, and I feel like that soap's interfering. Let's wake this thing up. My nose is a little stopped up. Maybe that's affecting my nose. I'm getting fruit and tartness. Yeah, so just fruit. I'm not going to sit here and say this fruit, that fruit, this fruit, that fruit. Sometimes I wonder when I watch reviewers if they're really tasting, if they're really smelling what they're smelling, or if they're just trying to be smart for the camera. I do get the salt a little bit, and then I get the sourness, that tartness that makes it a Gose. No hop aroma and no malt really. We'll go one more time just to make sure. If I wanted to fool myself and maybe look smart on camera, I might taste just that the faintest malt. Just because I know it's not, I don't know, this could be an IPA forward beer. I mean, not an IPA forward beer, a hop forward beer. But yeah, I don't really get like the beer qualities. But I'm not drinking this because I want a beer. Goodness gracious. Really tart. Not the tartest beer I've ever had. You sour and Gose fans, I mean, you might be able to chug this and not even flinch. To me, I feel like the puckerness quality is up there in the medium range. It's enough to really, I'm drinking a Gose, but it doesn't make you have to put the beer down and wait for a minute. Finish is pretty drying, like I'd expected. Really makes you want another sip. Where you're carried in with light carbonation, champagne-like carbonation even, and then all that berryness and fruitiness, and you get the sourness. Yeah, I'd say middle to the back end of the sip. Must have a chip in my glass. It looks like a hair. Must be a chip or something. But yeah, the fruit comes in first. Middle to the back, you're getting all that sourness, puckerness. No bitterness for me. No malty breadiness. No toastiness, roastiness. All those descriptors. I do get the salt on the back end as well. I feel like there's malt and hops in here to give it balance, but even when you can't take, because even when you can't taste this kind of stuff, it's in there and it'll keep the beer in balance, whether you realize it or not. So I feel like it's in there, just can't taste it. No, that was a Cigar Brewing white ale looked up. I don't think they provide. Actually, let's just look up just to make sure, but I don't think they provide the IBUs or any of that. Yeah, they just 5.3 ABV, so I mean 5.3, I would have even said it was like 2.5 or something, no alcohol whatsoever. You can sessionable these, sessionability factor, definitely. I know right now it's November as I'm reviewing this, but you catch this in the summertime, it'd be a great summertime sipper during a baseball game or maybe even early fall, and it's still pretty hot, at least down here in Alabama. And you know, watch during your football or baseball or whatever you prefer. And then the original release was in 2018, so this isn't a very old beer by recipe age. And then they released it April through December. Now, I don't know if that's going to change, and this is a year-round flagship now that it's had a full year, because maybe it was released in April 2018, and that's why they're saying their distribution calendar for the beer is April through December. It might be a full year-round beer by now. I don't know. That's what it says on the website. You can go to DogFishHead.com to find out more on this beer. Great beer. It's sour. Now, the only other Gose I've ever had, and turned me off to Goses, bless their hearts, I'm not going to name the brewery. It was a local brewery. I thought it was terrible. It tasted like throw up. The mix of the salt and the beer is just god-awful. It reminded me of stomach bile. And it turned me off to Goses, and I figured, Goses ain't for me. But for the channel, I feel like I owe it to everybody to review Goses, review the Imperial Stouts, review everything I don't like. Just to put it up there and put information out there for people on these beers, because you may like these beers. But as for this specific Gose, being my second ever Gose, and the only other Gose I have to go on is that bile flavored Gose from not very far from me, but I love this brewery so much I will not name their name. For the style, if I was going to review this as a BJCP judge, for the style, I would review this, you know, being more objective. I would put it in an 8. I'd go 4.5 out of 5. I think it's a really good, well-made Gose. I think Sam Caglione, however you pronounce his last name, at DogFish Head do great things. I plan to drink way more of their beer in the future. So look for more DogFish Head if you're a fan of DogFish Head in the future. Personal preference, though, I just don't care for sea salt in my beer. It just gives this weird stomach bile flavor to me. It's not an off flavor. It's just how sea salt is, anyways. But even with all that, I don't think this is a bad beer. I'll give it a 4 out of a 5. A- beer, because I'm just not really a fan of Goses, anyways. So an A- from me is high praise for this beer. So if you like Goses, I think maybe you would potentially consider this full world class. Maybe, I don't know. I recommend this. Yeah, I would recommend this to beer rookies. If you don't like a lot of beer and you like things like cranberry juice, grapefruit juice, even pineapple, just things with a real high tart factor. You like lime and lemon, things that just pucker you up and they're sour. You'd love this beer, I think. Again, sour fans, of course, kettle sour fans, Gose fans, you would all like this beer, I think. Maybe even tropical IPA guys, you know, if you're not into a sour, maybe you'll like this because it's got all the exotic fruits in here. You know, it just dawned on me as we're doing this video. It just dawned on me that they brewed this with toasted quinoa, so maybe they didn't even use barley at all. And that could be a thing. They don't even mention hops in here. I mean, they just can't convince me there's not hops in here. I mean, it's a beer, isn't it? Are Gose's beers? I would assume they're a beer style. So maybe that toasted quinoa is why we're not getting any malt flavor in here. Nonetheless, I digress. A- beer, the bearded one. Until next time, guys, cheers.